The Blue Chip Sports Network presents Get in the Game with Eric, Brian, Reggie, and Jordan on iTunes, the Blue Chip Broadcasting YouTube channel, and BlueChipBroadcasting.com.
Welcome to Get in the Game, episode 77. And second time through this, gentlemen. We're doing it on video and kind of loving it. Thank you all for watching the first one. Nice response there. We want to continue to grow this thing, and we have got a good one for you here today. We're going to be talking about basketball records that'll never be broken. And to do it with me, of course, is my partner, Brian Nelson.
Good evening, Eric.
There you go. I was wondering if you were still with us. I wasn't quite sure.
I'm a little more awake
Jordan,
this week than last week, so that's good.
Yeah. Jordan Santa Maria is here. And Reggie
in the building.
Wright.
Eric, I still can't get over, when they said shelter in place, the place where you chose to shelter is a stuffed animal zoo.
That's my life, man.
It did look like it multiplied from last week, for sure.
Look, it's for your kids, right? It's for your kids.
Yeah, I'm not so sure you're not sitting in a bubble bath while you're right there, too. I mean, that's you got a pretty nice setup going on.
Hey, we tried to get a little mood lighting. I was told I was too bright last time, so we're trying to tone it down a little bit. But today, let's talk about NBA records. Last week, by the way, great podcast with the quarantine quiz, and it was absolutely a stunning performance by the winner. I'm not quite sure who. He was phenomenal. Just let me tell you.
Oh, here we go.
If you haven't seen it, you want to go back and look. And for some of y'all, twice may not be enough. So
hey, do you realize that we did a poll question of what our Blue Chip Sports followers thought would be the winner? And you know who the runaway choice was to win the quarantine quiz show?
Yeah, who was that?
It was Jordan.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was Jordan.
Yeah.
The people know. The people's champ.
Do they? How many questions did you get right, Jordan? What exactly do the people know?
They know nothing. Nothing at all.
I'm the outlier in the group here, so I have excuse. You
were outlying someplace because you weren't doing quiz. Anyway, don't forget to take a look at that if you haven't seen it. But let's talk about records. Brian, what is your unbreakable record?
Well, and I think it's a record that, for a multiple of reasons, won't be broken. One, the game is so different. Second of all, the rules are different. And third, it's unbelievable. It's the UCLA men's basketball from 1964 to 1975, really 63-64 season to the 74-75 season. 12 seasons, they won 10 national championships. In 13 years, if you go back to 62-63, they were in the Final Four in 12 of those 13 years. The only year they didn't make the Final Four was 1966, where they didn't even make the NCAA tournament. Why? Because at that time, only conference champions made the tournament, and they did not win the Pac-8 conference back in 1966. Quick question, gentlemen. UCLA did not make the tournament in 66. Do you remember who won the NCAA championship in 1966? I'll give you a hint. They made a movie out of it. It was something that had never happened before.
I know. And that should shock everybody since I won the quiz last week. Just
You're going to let the other two guys play, Eric, or are you just going to hog all the answers?
You go.
Gentlemen?
Because they think Jordan will know the answer. Let's have Jordan.
They made a movie out of it.
Yes.
I don't know why my mind's only going Glory Road, but I feel like Texas Western wasn't. Was it?
There you go.
Yes.
The people know.
The people know. If Brian had been a little bit patient, you were going someplace else.
Glory Road, baby. Bobby Joe Hill.
Brian can't help himself. He helped you out because you.
I try. It was the Texas Western, now the University of Texas El Paso Miners, that won the championship, beating Kentucky. First all African-American starting lineup to win the NCAA tournament. The other year UCLA did not win the national championship was 1974. They lost in the national semifinals in double overtime to an athletic wing by the name of David Thompson. What school did David Thompson play for?
Well, that one too.
I'm not
All
getting
right,
that one.
you take it this time, Eric.
Well, David Thompson was known for his leaping ability, and they would put quarters on the top of the backboard during practice, and he'd go take quarters off the top of the backboard. And he played for North Carolina State.
Very good. So now let's talk a little bit about this UCLA team, because a lot of people remember when Bill Walton played there, when Lou Alcindor, who eventually changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, played there. But some of the interesting teams that played there is that, do you realize the first year they won the championship in 63-64 under Coach John Wooden, after they'd lost in the national semifinals the year before on a 25-footer in the final 3 seconds, they did not have one player taller than 6'5", yet they went 30-0 with no player taller than 6'5". They defended big time. The next year they won behind Gail Goodrich, who had 42 points in the title game, which was a record for a very, very long time. In 67 through 69, that is when Mr. Alcindor. You want to know why they didn't make the tournament in 66? Because their freshman team, remember back in the 60s, freshmen were not allowed to play on the varsity. You had to play on the freshman team. Well, the freshman team beat the UCLA varsity that year because they had a guy by the name of Lou Alcindor playing on the freshman team. After Alcindor got to be a sophomore, and remember there was no one and dones, there was no early outs. You played your 4 years, 3 at the varsity level. Lou Alcindor went 88-2 in his 3 years at UCLA, winning 3 consecutive national championships, the first 3 of 7 in a row. Lou Alcindor lost to Elvin Hayes of the University of Houston in a regular season game. Did anybody know who the other team they lost to in that run? It was the last game of the regular season in 1969. It was a conference opponent. I'll give you a hint. Dun, 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 dun,
The Trojans, USC.
That's right. USC Trojans.
That's not really a hint. You basically spelled it out for us.
Well, not everybody knows what that is. 46-44 in an offensive explosion. USC beat UCLA, then UCLA went on to win the national championships. They're saying USC, many people believe, was the second best team in the country that year, and they didn't even make the tournament because they didn't win their conference.
That was when teams made the tournament, 16?
16. And then it went to 22, then it went to 25, and then the last year of this run, 1975, they went to 32 teams. And they started to have a handful of at-large teams. A couple other things that was interesting. In 1970, after Alcindor had graduated and before Bill Walton showed up, they had a team of a bunch of guys that just played their role, played defense. Their 2 best players were a guy by the name of Sidney Wicks and Henry Bibby. Jordan, that'd be Mike Bibby's dad.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mike Bibby's son is playing
I wanted
right
to
now.
bring the demographic in. And so they went and they took on a team in the University of Jacksonville in the national the national semifinals that had 2 7-footers, including a Hall of Famer by the name of Artis Gilmore, who led on to be a superstar in the ABA and NBA with the San Antonio Spurs. They went and beat them, and then in 1971, they won the title again in probably John Wooden's most tumultuous year, as that is when things got heated on campuses with war protests. He had players speaking out against the war, kind of challenging him a little bit, and he wasn't sure he wanted to keep doing this. But they somehow found a way to coalesce and win the championship against 71. And then 1972, Bill Walton became a sophomore, became eligible. They went 30-0 in 1972. They went 30-0 in 1973. And in the championship game, Walton had maybe one of the greatest games ever in the history of any basketball. He had 44 points on 21 of 22 from the field.
Jeez.
Missed one shot all night long, and they rolled to their championship. But some things happened along the way. In 1974, they had their 88-game win streak snapped. Eric, do you remember where that streak was snapped?
I think I do.
Where is it?
Bend, Indiana.
Yes, it was. University of Notre Dame. Digger Phelps, the man with the highlighter. For those of you who remember College Game Day back 10, 15 years ago, they beat UCLA and Bill Walton with Kelly Tripucka. No, I'm not getting sick. That actually was his name, Kelly Tripucka. And then they lost to David Thompson in the national semis, breaking a 38-game NCAA tournament winning streak.
So what was their record overall through that run, Brian?
You know what? That was the one thing I did not tally because I couldn't find the specific amount.
But it's 10 out of 12 years.
10 out of 12. They had 4 seasons where they didn't lose a game. Alcindor lost 2 games. Walton lost 2 games. So, I mean, they may have lost – and they lost 8 games in 66 in the year they didn't make the tournament. They may have lost 8 to 10 games total in the other 11 years.
So, Jordan, will that record ever be broken? 10 NCAA championships in the tournament in 12 years.
That record would never be broken.
Reggie.
No way.
Well, go ahead.
Now, because, obviously it's so different from the college basketball I know and the college basketball you guys watched. And, no player staying for 4 years if you're that elite and you can make it into the NBA. And to have a team and keep a team, connected and to do, play at such a high level for 4 years in a row would just be crazy. I couldn't see it.
Reg, what do you think? Break it or not break it?
Not even close. No, that record will never be broken. There's just too much turnover, like Jordan was saying. And, Brian, 2 things jumped out to me when you were giving us the details on that story. The first is, today's coach, someone like John Calipari, would never have survived back then, because freshmen couldn't even play. And that's what he's built his career on, beginning in Memphis and now really in Kentucky is the one and dones. And he was the first to do it. And now we see Coach K making the adjustment at Duke, and they get a lot of one and dones now. And it's just kind of permeated out through college basketball. So there's just way too much turnover for that record to ever be broken. And then one thing that you didn't mention, Brian, is that undoubtedly UCLA during that stretch also led the nation in sock fashion, because I know that at the first practice, anytime a player would come to UCLA, the first practice John Wooden would walk them through how to put on their socks. So they also had the best socks in the nation for that entire run. Yeah, there they are.
Look at that. Look at
White
those socks.
All the exact same height.
So clean. Yep.
Well, thank you, Brian. I agree. That record will never be broken. And John Wooden, perhaps one of the greatest, not perhaps, in my opinion, the greatest coach of all time. Reggie has disappeared, but we're going to continue on without him. He may have gotten Kelly Tripucka. I don't know. But all of a sudden, he's gone.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna jump in. No, there. Are we keeping you from anything, Reg?
No, just had a little technical difficulty. I got my fingers crossed. We're in for a wild ride.
All right. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to piggyback off of Brian. I'll tell you a record that'll never be broken, but I'm going to come in at a little bit of a back door.
I'm not sure Brian wants you piggybacking him. That's
easy.
Brian, are you in shape? Are you in shape for that, buddy?
No comment.
Easy.
Absolutely no comment there.
So did you know that John Wooden played professional basketball back in 1934 through 1936? He played for the Indianapolis Katowskis, and he holds a record for that period of time. Now, that's not the record we're going to talk about, but John Wooden holds the professional basketball record. Now, this was pre-NBA, but it was professional basketball. Professional basketball record for most consecutive free throws made in competition. He made 138 straight free throws through those, what would have been probably a year and a half, from one season through a full season where he didn't miss one into another season. 138 straight. Do you guys have any idea what the most free throws ever made consecutively are in an exhibition?
In an
exhibition?
Yeah,
Like
just
in a single game?
Just in an exhibition, a shooting exhibition.
By an individual or by
An individual. By
Like
an
the
individual.
Guinness Book of World Records for consecutive free throws made?
Consecutive free throws, yep.
Let's
Take a
call
guess.
it 313.
Jordan,
250.
higher. Reggie, higher.
Man, 598.
You want to try? Let's do this again. Higher, Brian.
1,065.
Higher, Jordan.
2,000.
Higher, Reggie.
Is it still going? Like, is it still currently, are we
I
tallying?
don't know
up?
how long it took him to get there, but this guy made 5,221 consecutive makes in an exhibition in 1996. His name is Ted St. Martin. He actually has had 4 sessions where he has made over 1,000 in a row.
See, that's kind of cheating, though, because he's a saint. Like, he's got, he's got a little extra help.
But we're not here to talk about guys that make free throws. Let's talk about guys that miss free throws, right?
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan is one of the worst free throwers that you will ever see. 46.6% for DeAndre. Give me a couple of more.
Chris Dudley.
He was bad. He's in the 30s. He's terrible.
Shaq was bad.
Dwight Howard.
Rodman was bad.
Dwight Howard, Shaq. How about a guy who, in his career, missed 5,805 free throws?
He must have played a long time.
That was Wilt Chamberlain. Shot 51%. He missed 5,805 free throws.
You think about how many points he would have scored in his career had he just maybe been able to shoot 65%.
Yeah, that's crazy. How about the most free throws missed consecutively in a game without a make?
By one player.
By one player.
Ooh. 32.
This is what we're going to talk about.
I'm going to say
one
8.
game.
In one game.
No. In an
One
NBA
game, I'm going to say 15.
Yep, in a professional basketball game.
15.
I'm gonna go 32.
32 for Jordan, 15 for Brian.
Man, I'll go 13.
How about Shaquille O'Neal in modern basketball holds that record. He went 0 for 11 in one game.
Okay.
And that was the modern record. But that's not the record. Back in 1947 and 48, there was a guy who set the all-time record. Now, remember, the modern NBA, the NBA started in 46-47. That was the first season of the BAA, which eventually became the NBA. And the guy we're going to talk about was one of the founding members on the 11 teams that started what is today's NBA, okay? He played for 4 years in the NBA. He was a graduate of Kansas. As a matter of fact, he played for Fog Allen at Kansas. So there's another, John Wooden, Fog Allen. Those guys are legendary coaches. Guy played for the St. Louis Bombers in the first 3 seasons of the BAA. But the game that he will never forget occurred on January 15th of 1948. It was against the New York Knickerbockers. In that game, the 2 teams met up. New York was 13-11 at the time. The Bombers were 13-9 out of St. Louis at the time, and were on their way. Both of those teams seemed to be on their way towards a playoff appearance. The Bombers eventually would get there with a 29-19 record and lose in the first round of the playoffs. The Knicks finished their season at 26-22 and also lost in the first round of the playoffs that year. But on January 15th in St. Louis, they hooked up and they played a basketball game. And poor Mr. Gifford Rowe, and that's Rowe, R-O-U-X, Gifford Rowe. They called him Giff. He's a 6'5" forward. His line was he was 3 of 14 from the field, and he was 0 of 20 from the free throw line.
Oh.
The final score of the game was New York 59, St. Louis 55.
Oh.
Left 20 free throws on the free throw line. That's a record that nobody, like Shaquille O'Neal is the only one that has even come close to that at 0 for 11. That season, he ended up making 70 out of 160 free throws. He ended up with a career mark of 51.1%. However, as he progressed through his career, his last year, he was playing for Providence. And for Providence, for the entire year, he made 15 out of 17 free throws. So he did get better. But this one game, Giffro went 0 for 20 from the free throw line in a 4-point loss. And I don't think that record will ever be broken. We've got
Jordan,
really
next
bad
time
free
you're
throw shooters now.
Jordan,
But
next
they're
time
not
one of your
that
players
bad.
can't make free throws, now you can call him Gifford Rowe.
Yeah, it's hack a GIF.
Interestingly, the article that I read was entitled "Hack a Shack Before Shack." They called it.
There you go.
Very cool.
There you go. And anyway, that's my story. I don't think that record will ever be broken. Brian, do you think that record will be broken?
Oh, absolutely not. No
for
way.
20
Even
from
in
the
the
line.
even with the hack a shack and all that, there's no way. They're
I
going to take
could
guys
go
off
out
the floor.
there. I could go out there right now and make 1 out of 20.
I agree.
Jordan, will it ever be broken?
I wanted to say maybe, but when I think about it, the emphasis on jump shooting in today's game, I don't think there's any way. There's no way.
Reg.
Oh man, I feel like there's a chance. You know, you get into a situation like who is it? Markelle Fultz, who had such a struggle at the free throw line a little while back. You just catch one guy on a bad night, and anything can happen.
I just remember one of the comments I saw is any 7-year-old can make 1 out of 20.
Yeah, but man, like
really rough on Giffro.
I've seen so many special interest pieces on like professional baseball pitchers who get the yips and things like that. You know, guys throwing 97 mile an hour gas who paint the corners and then all of a sudden they just show up to the field one day and they can't even make it 45 feet. You know, I think it's possible. All I'm saying is I think it's possible.
I just think the coach is going to take that guy off the floor.
0-15, he's not playing the whole game.
Yeah.
This is his first 15. He's not playing.
That's probably fair.
Jordan, you're up. Unbreakable record.
All right, so I'm kind of jumping the timeline. So I'm going more recent, I guess.
Not hard when I went all the way back to the beginning.
Right. What was the team? The Indiana Trailblazers or whatever you said. Yeah.
The Indianapolis Katowskis.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that. So these teams and this player in particular is definitely someone more recent. So I'm here to talk about Rasheed Wallace. So Rasheed Wallace, and just like a little background of Rasheed from when I watched him, I always knew Rasheed as like a Rough Rider. Like you watch Rasheed Wallace, he had the headband, he was kind of scruffy looking, really good player, like big time player, 4-time All-Star. Won a championship with the Pistons in 2003, 2004 when they beat the Kobe and Shaq Lakers. Played 16 seasons in his career, like good player. But I just always remembered him as an enforcer. And I had like youth league coaches and like travel ball coaches. And when we would talk, whoa, this got crazy.
What are you doing?
My phone's about to die, guys. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I gotta switch to my computer.
For a second, I was like, "Are we gonna get a screen share of Rasheed
I'm going
Wallace?"
0 for 20 from the line right now. Cut me a break,
This is kind of the equivalent of 0 for 20.
I thought we were gonna screen share Rasheed Wallace and Reggie popped up. It was all time.
In front of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
Wow.
Is this editable?
Hey, nothing but the most professional here at Blue Chip Broadcast in the game.
That is hilarious.
Oh, man.
And now the other Reggie is just frozen, which is very exciting.
That's so great.
Reg.
All right, how are we doing now?
Brian,
that's a little too
guy.
much, Reg.
It's a young guy that can't handle the tech side.
Here we go. There's Rasheed. I found him for you, Jordan.
Yeah, kind of similar beard to Reg. Not exactly, but similar. So going back to what I was saying, we can rock with the double Reg. Oh, there you go, Reg. You're back. All right, so going back to the Rashid story, his all-time unbreakable record will be, in my opinion, something that can never be broken today, is 41 technical fouls in one season.
That's
41.
One every other game.
One every other game. It was in 2000, 2001. He was playing with Portland, so this is before he was on the championship team with the Pistons. But just to kind of give you a feel for what that's like, the rules today on technical fouls. So Section 7 of the NBA Bible of rules. So fouls. It's
called a rule book.
Your first 5 fouls, 5 technical fouls equal $2,000. 6 through 10 equal $3,000. 11 through 15 equal $4,000. And then when you get to 16, it's $5,000 plus 1 game suspension. And then any additional technical foul is automatically $5,000, and each 2 additional technical fouls, so every 2 technical fouls after 16 or after 15, is another game suspension without pay. So I was kind of crunching the numbers with Rashid. If Rashid was in the NBA today, he would have lost $175,000 that year. He would have been suspended 13 games without pay.
Holy.
And he just would have been it would have been ridiculous. I mean, you don't see anything like that. So I was trying to think of guys, like, who do you think are the Rough Riders of today? Like Draymond Green, I guess people give a bad rap, right? So Draymond.
Oh no, he's earned it. It's a good rap. He's
right. So Draymond in 2019 and 2020, Draymond. So this year he only had 14. I know it was a condensed season, but 14 techs with Russell Westbrook also at 14. Last year in a full season, Kevin Durant led with 16 technical fouls, also with Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green at 16. And then in 17-18, Dwight Howard led with 17, with Draymond at 15, KD at 14, and Russell Westbrook at 14. So people aren't even touching the 20 mark on this technical foul record that Rasheed Wallace has taken, and he had 41 in one season.
So that means Draymond would take 2.5 years to equal the 1 year that Wallace had.
It would take forever. Like, unbelievable. I mean, and it's not even, like, Rasheed was a physical player, so it's not even just like the elbows or, the tangle ups that he got into. It's literally just aggravating refs over and over and talking over and over. Like, his nicknames are the best. I mean, you got Sheed, which is one of my favorites. I mean, that's just awesome. And then Dirty 30. Dirty 30 is all time. But my one trivia question for you guys. So career technical fouls. There he is. Career technical fouls all time in NBA history. I have the top 5 right here. Can you guys name me anybody in the top 5 of career technical fouls? Besides
Rasheed?
Yeah, so I'll give you Rasheed. Rasheed is in 3rd place. He had 317 technical fouls in his career.
I would say Dennis Rodman has to be in there.
Dennis Rodman's 5. So Rodman had 212. And Rodman was a loon.
Now, how far? Can give me one more hint? How far back is your oldest?
It's really not that old. I want to say 90s.
How about Ron Artest, Meta World Peace?
Ron Artest is not in the top 5.
Really?
Charles Oakley?
Who'd you say, Rich?
Charles Oakley?
Not Charles Oakley. Charles Barkley, though. Charles Barkley.
Yeah, I was going to say
2.
Barkley.
Okay.
So Charles Barkley's number 2. Number 1, he played for the Jazz.
Karl Malone?
Karl Malone. Karl Malone is number 1 in career technical fouls with 332. And then number 4 was Gary Payton. So something interesting is, like, in the top 5, you got Hall of Famers, Hall of Fame level players. That I mean, technical fouls, you can call them how they are, but I just think 41 in one season is amazing. Would never happen. No one wants to lose that much money. No one is stupid enough to lose that much money.
Brian, that record ever be broken?
Absolutely not, because Jordan's right. Nobody's going to lose that kind of money. Eric, if a guy made $8 million, which means he'd be a lower end paid player, that's $100,000 a night, 15 games. That's an extra 1.5 mil.
Yeah, so
he's losing game checks.
1.25 after the fines and the unpaid games.
Oh no, more than that. Almost 1 3/4. It was 175K plus the 1.5.
Oh, I had it at 115K. Okay, 175K. Yeah. Sheesh.
Not happening.
I'd say that
Right.
that record never gets broken.
That record never gets broken. Reg,
Yeah,
you're right.
unless Antonio Brown decides to if he can make it into the NBA somehow. I don't see
Okay,
it happen.
you're up, bud.
All right, so I'm up. Okay, so man, it was hard for me to narrow down just which record I wanted to talk about. So I'm just going to throw a couple out there real quickly. The first one comes from, we got to hop in the Wayback Machine and take a look at the 1952-53 Baltimore Bullets. This team they have gone down in history as the worst basketball team, worst NBA franchise to ever make playoffs. In fact, they were so bad that Don Barksdale, who was the founder of the 538 website, it's kind of like a news outlet, he says that they are the worst team to ever make the playoffs in any sport. NBA, NFL, NHL, doesn't matter. This team, the Bullets, went 16-54 with a total winning percentage of 229 and somehow found their way into the playoffs.
Was it a 3-team league where everybody goes?
Close. Here was the loophole. Okay, so at this time in the NBA, there were only there were 2 divisions of 5 teams each. There was the Eastern Division and the Western Division, and unlike modern day where only the best of the bunch qualify for the postseason, 4 teams from each division automatically made it into the playoffs. So they just edged out. Let's see. So I'm looking at the records from the Eastern Division that year. The New York Knicks they won the Eastern Division at 47-23. The Syracuse Nationals were 47-24. The Boston Celtics were 46-25. The Bullets made the playoffs at 16-54, just edging out the Philadelphia Warriors, who went 12-57. So,
did they have rainouts, Eric? Because are you noticing the totals don't add up to be equal in the total games played?
Back at that time, travel was different and stuff.
Yeah, they didn't all play. When I looked at 47, 46, 47, 47, 48, they played different amounts of games.
Okay. Just wondering if maybe they were playing outside, had little rain issues or something.
Outside mountain.
On the local blacktop, they just, ran out.
That's crazy. So 16-54. I'm guessing, Reg, they did not get out of the first round.
No, they got swept in a 2-game series. They lost to the New York Knicks. But, they only lost that second game by about 11 points, I think was the finals, like 82-60.
We're talking about an 11-point game and thinking it was close.
13 points. Yeah.
Almost there.
I think we can all agree that record's never going to be broken because that just mathematically, I don't think it would even work out anymore.
Not going to happen.
I'm going to throw another one out to you because this one may be open for discussion. It's a possibility, I guess. So right now, the single game record for most blocks is held by Elmore Smith, who accomplished the feat on October 28th of 1973. He had 17 blocks in a single game. 17 blocks. Okay, so what do you guys think? Is that approachable at all? I mean, he spent 8 years in the NBA. He averaged almost just under 3 blocks per game. In this game,
Reg, all I can do is go by my experience. And I played 4 years in high school. And I played a year in college, and I played a lot of rec ball after that. There was a lot of intramural basketball that I played. And I think over the course of my career, I had 3. I'm guessing no, that one won't be broken. Personal experience, there's no way.
Yeah.
I think 17 blocks is doable. It's
in
so
a game?
weird, but I swear I think it's doable. I'm telling you, you get the right, there's certain guys, if they wanted to.
Has there been anybody close to 17?
I could totally see it in college. In a college game, I could totally see it.
I can see it in a high school game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Jordan, you're a college coach. Wait a minute. You're a college coach. Your team had a guy have 3 blocks in a game, and that was a big deal.
Okay, hold on. We didn't have our center was 6'6", though. You know, like I'm talking about like in a Division I college level game. If you had, let's say, I mean, I think even on an even playing field, almost you can probably get a guy to get to 12. I've seen a guy go triple double, 12 blocks, 10 rebounds, 10 points. Like I feel like that's pretty doable. I think if he got hot and he was really just getting crazy, 17 might be in the range of possibility.
There is nobody going into the paint enough to give somebody a chance to get 17 blocks.
That was what I was going to say, is that the game would have to change. You would have to have a ton of penetration, a lot of shots inside of 10 feet. Problem is everything is taken now. More teams take more threes than they take twos. And in that kind of style, you'll never have that many.
No, and hang on just a second. You also got to remember he did it. Elmore Smith did it when you could flat out kill people under the basket. You look at him side and you're getting
literally in one play you can get at least 3 blocks. If you get a shot up, the guy gets an offensive rebound, block, and then gets wild. You've seen that before. I'm saying that I think it could happen.
I haven't seen it 6 times in a game.
I'm just saying
with the same guy.
For whatever reason, 17 blocks I think is in the realm of possibilities.
Jordan thinks it could happen.
If you say like 20, then I think it's over. 3 more and I'm out.
Okay, we know his limit now.
Like if you get a unique situation, like I don't know if any of you guys watched any of the NCAA tournament last year, but you get a guy like Taco Fall who's what, like 7'6" or something like that, and he's just outrageously tall. And I mean, he is a difference maker. Like he is a difference maker. If you get inside,
haven't you seen that show before with Manute Bol? I mean, isn't that the same show? And how close did he come to 17?
I think he got 5 or 6 one time.
Oh, I'm sure he had a few more than that in a single game.
I'm telling you, we're going to have to fact check this one, but I'm telling you, I feel like Dwight Howard probably got at least 10 blocks in one game before, like at least.
I mean, he's gotten a triple-double with blocks, points and rebounds.
For sure.
I think Draymond even has done that before.
Draymond's come close, I think, for sure. At least he's probably got
Here's the deal. Those guys did it with maybe 10 blocks. You're halfway there. It's not going to happen.
Well, you're 60% of the way there. A little more than half.
Hey, glass half full, Eric. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the ultimate glass half full guy.
Oh, man.
I will say, of all the records that we've listed today, I'd say that's the most breakable of any of them.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to give you guys one more, okay? I'm going to pare down my list here. So in 2012, a collegiate basketball player named Jack Taylor, who played for a college known as Grinnell, set the organized basketball collegiate or higher scoring record in the United States. And he scored 138 points. Okay, so here's just a quick backstory about Jack Taylor. He spent his first season at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse, where he only averaged 7 points. He got to a point where he was thinking about quitting basketball. He wasn't enjoying playing, but he heard about this little Division III college called Grinnell, who runs a very special system, and it sounded like something that he thought it fit his playing style. It sounded like something that he'd be interested in doing. So transferred over to Grinnell his sophomore season. And let's see. So Grinnell, for example, had led all levels of the NCAA in scoring for 17 of the 19 seasons prior to his transferring.
So what we've learned so far is Jack doesn't want to play defense.
Right.
That's the system.
Yeah. So he led the team in scoring after his first 2 games. He was averaging 23.5 points a game in 13.5 minutes. Most of the players at Grinnell play less than 20 minutes. That's kind of their cap because they're running guys in all the time. It's a very unique system. It's worth a watch on YouTube. It's weird. But anyways.
There he is.
There he is. There's Jack Taylor.
I'm beating him one-on-one right now.
Jordan, 138 on Jordan. Ain't no way, no how.
No way. No way.
You get 18 blocks.
Get out of here,
Yeah,
Jack.
there's
That
Jordan's
guy.
17 blocks, Eric, right there.
Okay, yeah. It worked well for Grinnell's opponent.
Yeah. So here's the backstory to the particular game where he scored the 138. Heading into that game, he was only shooting 17.6% from beyond the arc, which is like 3-point shooting is very central to the Grinnell system. And he was only from the rest of the field, he was only averaging 26.8% overall. So the head coach, Dave Arsenault, thought he might give Jack a chance, give him a few extra minutes, kind of run the offense through Jack Taylor in an attempt to break him out of his shooting slump. So Jack Taylor goes into the locker room with 58 points. He knew he was playing well. He thought he had about 30, but little did he know he had 58 points in the first half. And at that point, they made the decision. Occasionally Grinnell will set certain games aside on their schedule for the pursuit of a record. That wins and losses aren't always the focal point for them. And so the team, according to Arsenault, left open the possibility for Taylor to set a record if he got off to a great start, and he did. He took 58 points into the half, ends up scoring 90 points in the second half, and finishes the game with 138 points.
That'd be 80 in the second half.
Yeah, I was going to say the
80
math.
points in the second half. My fault. But the interesting thing is that this got obviously national attention. Pizza Hut sold pizzas for $1.38 to commemorate $1.38 to commemorate the event. He was booked on Good Morning America, the Today Show, Jimmy Kimmel. He got a lot of press surrounding his major achievement. And so in the next game, everyone, like a whole bunch of different news outlets showed up to watch him play. And he ended up scoring only 21 points, going 6 for 21 shooting. In a 130.
Because he was playing, Jordan was guarding him.
That's right.
Yeah, he played a real team. That's what happened.
Yeah. He did end up the following year. That season, the season that he broke the record, was cut short. He broke his arm, but the following year he did end up scoring 108 points in another game the following year. So kid could fill it up.
Jack Taylor, when he's hot, and when he's not,
He's not. No.
So the side note, anybody want to guess? Let's have one of you guys guess. What's the highest single game total for any one player in worldwide organized basketball history? So this includes organized youth leagues worldwide.
205.
Yeah, 250.
Jordan, you're close. Is 272 points by named Wormelin Mats. Wormelin Mats of Sweden. All right. He scored 272 points in a 272-0 victory.
He was playing his little
against
cousins.
his grandma?
I have no idea. It was it happened on February 5th of 1974 during a regional boys tournament held in Stockholm, Sweden.
He was 5'10" at 10 years old, and everybody else was 3'4".
Possibly.
I don't know. Anyway, that's a great look at a bunch of records that we feel are pretty much unbreakable in basketball. Hope you've enjoyed that travel through basketball history with us, and hopefully there will be more good times ahead. Brian, let's talk a little bit about what's coming. Some things that we've got percolating in the background.
We do. We're going to continue to push our YouTube channel. We're going to put some videos from Blue Chip Sports is going to go up onto the YouTube channel. We're working closely with Stanislaus State University to put some of the games that Eric and I have called. Reggie's been part of that group, even Jordan as well. Some games that we called, some Stan State basketball videos on the YouTube channel. We're also going to do some Flashback Fridays on BlueChipBroadcasting.com, including a trip down memory lane, Eric, back to 2014.
I can't remember 3 weeks ago. I mean, you're
that's true.
Years back.
But some great memories that we had covering the Stan State men's basketball when they made the run to the NCAA West Regional Final. And so we're going to throw a couple games up on the website. Check out our Instagram, our Twitter, as well as the Stan State WarriorAthletics.com website to give you the schedule on that. We're still finalizing some details. Did get a chance to talk to one of the guys from that 2014 men's basketball team today, Clint Tremelling. And so he was excited to hear about those ideas. He is going to let the guys know. And even fun to kind of connect with some of those guys on social media over these next couple of weeks and just kind of find out what some of those guys are doing and their memories on that great run that the Warriors had 6 years ago.
Well, and as you could all see, we were having a little bit of fun today. We're trying to do some new things, some different things with our podcast here on YouTube. And you saw some pictures. We're going to try to start incorporating some stuff like that. May not have come off quite like we hoped this time, but we'll only get better the more we play with it. Right now, for all of us, I want to say thank you for listening and watching. Get in the game. And Brian's going to stop me right there.
Yeah, because one more thing. We want to remind you, when you go to the YouTube channel.
This is the finger.
Hold on. When you go to the YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe and like our YouTube channel. It is Blue Chip Broadcasting. Search it, subscribe, like, and that the more you do that, the more it comes up quicker, the easier it is for everybody to find and to enjoy what we're doing here, and also some great memories from our time working with Stan State.
So for Jordan Santa Maria, Reggie Wright, Brian Nelson, my name's Eric Davis saying thanks for watching, guys. And remember this one thing, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, get in the game.
You've been listening to Get in the Game, an exclusive presentation of the Blue Chip Sports Network. Get in the Game with Eric, Brian, Reggie, and Jordan on iTunes, the Blue Chip Broadcasting YouTube channel, and BlueChipBroadcasting.com.